Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 1, Chapter 6.1 Notes. Today we're going to be talking about solving and graphing single-step inequalities. Our learning target today is to be able to solve and graph basic and single-step inequalities involving addition or subtraction. So, before we get started, let's go over some basic review of what graphing inequalities are. Okay, so let's review what some of these symbols mean. Now, this first one, you might say, is less than. But remember that less than means subtraction. This means is less than. Okay, we have to have that word is in there first. Okay, the next one is greater than. Okay, and then when it's got that little bar underneath it, it means, well, first it's is less than or equal to. Okay, it can be either one of those. All right, and the last one is greater than or equal to. Okay, it has to fill out both of those requirements. Okay, so now when we're graphing, each one of these is going to be having different symbols. Okay, these first ones are going to have what's called an open circle. And when you graph it, it's just going to be like that. And these other guys right here, they're going to have what's called a closed circle. It's going to be the same circle, except you're going to color it in. Okay? All right. Before you graph an inequality, be sure it is written correctly. This means that, what that means is the variable is on the left side. Okay? So before we've had problems where it can be, say, hey, x equals 2 or 2 equals x. With equations, that's okay. But when we're talking about inequalities, we always want the inequality first, because if it looks like this, it's going to be harder to decide which way to graph it. Okay? So always get your variable on the left side. Okay? All right, let's start going through some problems. It says graph the inequality. X is less than 2. So what I want to know is this open or closed? Okay, this is open because of this symbol. So this is saying x is less than 2. Okay, so there's 2. I want to know all the numbers that could be less than that, and those can be all of those guys. Okay, because it can be any number less than 2. It can be 1/2, it can be -7, it could be -256. Okay, you don't know where it is. So that's why we're shading everything to the left. Okay? Let's look at the next one. It says y is greater than -3. Okay? So y is greater than -3. So I'm going to go to -3. It's open, once again, because of the symbol. And then we want everything greater than -3, so that's everything to the right. All right, let's look at the next one. This is saying is less than or equal to. So at -4, this is going to be closed because of the symbol, which means you're going to shade it in. And then I want everything that is less than that, okay? And just like when we were drawing our graphs, we're always having the arrows at the end so we can see where it's going to, okay? This one is saying B is greater than or equal to 5. So at 5, it's a closed circle, and then greater than or equal to, shade to the right. Okay? Now, you might start looking at these and be like, hey, Mr. Grice, I'm noticing something. Look to see which way the inequality is pointing at. Okay? It's pointing to the right here. We shaded to the right. It's number 3, it's pointing to the left. We shaded to the left. That's only true if the variable is first. Okay? So now on these bottom ones, is the variable on the left-hand side? No. So we have to switch. So the x and then the -3. Okay? And what we want to know is which way is the inequality, who's the inequality eating? Okay? Miss Carranza likes to draw Pac-Man right here. And Pac-Man is eating the x. Okay, so if Pac-Man's eating the x over here, we have to make sure he does the same thing. Okay? Another way to think about it is who's the inequality pointing at? It's pointing at the -3, and here it's still pointing at the -3. Okay? Whichever way works for you is good because they both work. Okay? But now we know that the inequality, -3, it's open, and we shade to the right. Okay? So for this one, we have to switch. Pac-Man is eating the 4, and we're going to make sure that if it's got the line underneath it, we keep that, because this is saying that it is less than or equal to. So we have to close it, and then we shade to the left. Okay? Go ahead and pause the video. Number 7 and 8 are all yours. Okay, there are your answers. Just remember, pay attention to when it is closed versus when it is open. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and flip it over. Solving inequalities requires the same steps needed to solve equations. Okay? And that is SADMAP, the reverse order of operations. Okay? So you're going to be doing the same thing where you draw the line down the middle. We have to subtract, and we get x is less than or equal to -4. You would go to -4. This is a closed circle, and then we would shade everything that is to the left because it is less than. Okay? So in other words, what does this mean? What this graph means is any number less than or equal to -4 is a solution to the inequality. Okay, so you can pick any number less than -4 or equal to -4 and it'll make this true. So let's pick -10. So -10 plus 6 less than or equal to 2. Well, -10 plus 6 is -4. And that is a true statement. Okay? All right, let's go through some of these. So I'm going to draw the line down the middle. To solve, I would subtract 7 to both sides, and we get y is greater than 4. So at 4, we have an open circle, and we shade to the right. Okay, number 10. Draw the line down the middle. We have to add 8 to both sides, and we get y is greater than or equal to 5. So at 5, we have a closed circle, and we're shading everything to the left, okay, because it is less than or equal to. All right, number 11. Solve for the a. We're going to subtract 17 to both sides. We get -2 greater than or equal to a. We have to switch this because it's not in proper form. The Pac-Man is eating the -2. So at -2, we are closed. And it is less than, so we shade to the left. All right, last one we're going to do together. Add 15 to both sides. -4 is less than b. All right, we have to switch this because the b is not first. Pac-Man is eating the b, pointing to the -4. We're going to do a open circle at -4, and it's greater than, so we're going to shade to the right. All right, guys, 13 through 16 are all you. Go ahead and pause the video, do the rest of the problems, and always make sure that the variable is first. Okay? Good luck. All right, and there are your answers. Okay, always make sure that when you're rewriting some of these that you put the variable first. There were 2 that we had to switch. And always pay attention to when it's open versus when it's closed. Okay? Well, that's it for Algebra 1, Chapter 6.1 notes. As always, if you have any questions, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself because we would love to help you out. Thanks for watching, guys.